Welcome back, everyone. Well, today is a very, very sad day for me personally. I've just sold off my biggest holding in my entire shares and crypto portfolio. That is ESPO on the ASX. So it's a big ETF, exchange traded fund, that combines a lot of gaming companies into one. And yeah, I've decided to sell it off today. So we're going to go through quite a few reasons why I've done this. We're going to talk about ESPO a little bit as well, just for people that haven't heard me speak about it. And we're also going to tie it into a little bit of stuff about the psychology of money that I want to sort of get back to talking about and bringing things around. So hopefully you guys can sort of maybe self-reflect on your own portfolios and just decide whether some of the decisions you're making are rational or irrational and things of those sorts. So let's head on over and take a bit of a closer look. Okay, so ESPO.AX, the biggest holding, well, the biggest holding in my portfolio. Sold it at around about 2 p.m. today. My biggest ever sell-off as well. I've sold a little over 1,000 units. They're currently operating at around about $11.68 AUD per share. So today is the 7th of September. I've held it for close to a year now, and we're gonna have a bit of a look at some of the reasons why I've done this. But firstly, let's just take a little bit of background info about ESPO. So the main holdings, as you can see, close to 20% is Nvidia and AMD, which are both chip companies, which I love. Like, I sort of was really attracted to that in the first place. Not necessarily gaming companies, but they are quite involved in the gaming space. But they're not, AMD nor Nvidia are solely gaming chips and gaming hardware and software and whatnot. They do a lot of other things as well. So I was sort of attracted to that. But then as we scroll down that list, like Tencent, Nintendo, Unity, Activision, EA, Namco, even Roblox, Take-Two, all of that sort of stuff, Ubisoft, just your classic big boy gaming companies. Zynga, that's a mobile gaming company. So yeah, you've just got all your big players in this one ETF, which as I spoke about at the start of the year, I really wanted to buy the entire space. I didn't want to, ride on just one company. So sort of got what I wanted, I guess. I reckon I would have bought in around about this peak here. So that would have been close to the start of the year, and we'll see right now that it's pretty much broken even for me. So this is one of the reasons I sold, which we'll talk about in a sec. But yeah, it's sort of, the price has fluctuated. It hasn't done anything amazing. It's been on a nice little comeback since mid-year, but nothing too amazing. But it is what it is with an ETF. That's what you get. But let's just take a little bit of a closer look at some of the reasons, the rationale that I had for selling. So some of it was rational and some of it was irrational. Some of the rationale was rational and some of the rationale was irrational / semi-rational. I think I did pretty well to get that out, to be honest. So some of the rational decisions that I made, I feel, in selling ESPO. Again, we're bringing this back to sort of the psychology of investing. You got to decide whether the decision's right for you and whether it will benefit you long term. Not necessarily so you can't just look on face value at the share price and say, oh, I'm going to buy that, it's going to rocket. It might not necessarily suit you. And I really this is a perfect example of me sort of demonstrating that it was a good time for me to sell, I think. But some of the more rational things that would literally apply to everyone go as such. Like, China has now restricted children's gaming time, under 18's gaming time, to 3 hours a week. So that's very, very short. That was probably one of the main reasons why obviously I decided to sell. China generally lead the pack with these sort of things, and all of my ETFs are 5 to 10 to 15 year investments. So I'm just a little bit concerned that with China sort of cutting down on all these gaming things and whatnot, I've got a feeling the West might start to follow that. And if they do, we're going to see quite a drop in all the share prices of these individual big boy companies. And as a result, the ETF price will drop. Another reason is that we've also had the emergence of some smaller developers becoming very successful, especially in the mobile space, but has somewhat translated into the PC and console space as well. It's not to say I don't understand like pay to win games and how successful a model that can be and the whole advertising scheme of things and whatnot. But some games like Among Us that don't implement that and are run by smaller developers really are taking a solid piece of the pie as far as entire users go. So I was a little bit concerned about that as well, considering that ESPO basically is just all the big boys, like I've mentioned. And another big reason that's, I think, rational and sort of will transcend through all different investing groups is that it's not doing much in quite the booming market. Compare it to, I don't know, any of my other ETFs, NDQ, QLTY, QAL, all are up around 15 to 30%, even BLOK, which is a crypto ETF that I'm in, all up, minimum 15 to 20 to 30% this year. So having a good time, not just on the ASX, but the ASX is doing well. And yeah, ESPO, we're comparing that. The year to date, I think it's only just broken even. So it's not filling me with a lot of confidence in such a prominent year for investing that ESPO has essentially done nothing for me. That's some rational explanations as to why I've sold. And now we're going to talk about some irrational, maybe semi-rational. I can sort of somewhat justify them. But firstly, it's a good time personally for me to sell for tax purposes. So not necessarily rational in the sense that it's got nothing to do with the share price. This isn't going to affect the share price whatsoever. But I needed to sell it now because it's just pretty much broken even for me. I ended up losing $8 on it, which is peanuts. So I lost $8 on the entire trade. But if it went into the positives, I'm going to have to start paying half tax on that. So pretty much a perfect time for me to sell. I've been slowly watching it grow over the past few weeks and thinking I'm going to pull the pin. And today I just said, yep, I'm going to do it. So, not like mine's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, but it just goes to show like someone can have a big sell-off and it could be due to a reason like that. Something they might have come by financial hardship or something like that. And that really can affect the share price, big sell-offs. So, another reason why the psychology of investing can be so important at times. And then this is probably completely irrational, but the fact that I've really stopped paying much attention to the gaming space in general. Was quite into it and knew quite a lot about it for a while there, but just over the past 6 months or so, it's just become a little bit irrelevant to me in my life. So I probably don't have enough information. So I can somewhat justify that, saying like, I'm not going to be on the ball with all the news and whatnot and the stories associated with it. So potentially a good time to sell. But I guess end of the day, it's more of a personal choice and it doesn't really have any proper rationale to justify me selling that off. So I mean, there it is. This is more of a Dear Diary spec, just sort of stewing on whether I should have sold or not, considering it has responded quite well. But, it's as investors, we need to consider these sort of things all the time. So I hope maybe you guys can have a step back and think about, if you're thinking about selling, sort of maybe split them into two sections. Can I really rationalize this, or is, the reason that I'm selling irrational? I suppose technically we want to keep it as rational as possible, but a lot easier said than done. And as a result, share prices are often quite irrational, which can be extremely frustrating. So have a little think about that, guys, and thanks for watching to the end. Appreciate it.